Each year at the Ethical Society, we organize our programs around a theme. Our theme this year is Building an Ethical Future, and in January, we are exploring the future of money. However, as this is the first platform of the new year and the first platform for Amy Miller, our new Interim Ministry Team Director, she will stray a bit from the monthly theme for today.
Hi. What a warm welcome. I'm a little bit nervous. Although, if you were here 5 years ago, I did my first platform 5 years ago, and I was much more nervous then, so we've made progress. So first of all, thank you to the band for the lovely music. I love that they're doing Dolly Parton. I don't know how much you guys know about Dolly Parton, but she is a gem of a human. She's quietly donated so much money and time to others, and she gives millions of books to children, has set up numerous scholarship funds. She's donated $1 million to vaccine research when COVID first started, and she's one of the only country music artists I've ever heard come out in vocal opposition to homophobia and transphobia. She's a shining example of deed before creed. I just wanted to throw that out there in case Dolly Parton seemed at all a random choice. She's actually, in practice, like the ultimate humanist. And selfishly, I am very excited to see what the band has for us each month and what having a new music director could mean for our overall music. Music is very important to me, and singing brings me so much joy. I'm looking forward to taking part in the musical selections as a singer every now and then, and I'm really excited about that. Music is one of the great equalizers. Anybody can make beautiful music in any number of ways, and the making and enjoyment of music is a fundamental act that brings people together. While I admit I didn't know any of the songs, or either of the songs at Good Cheer, I did love hearing voices coming together in song. So, anyway, hi. It's nice to see so many friendly faces. As some of you may have noticed, my official title is no longer Interim Leader. It has been adjusted to Interim Ministry Team Director. I don't much care about titles, so it doesn't really matter to me, but it is quite a mouthful, so just do your best. Call me whatever. It doesn't really matter. You can just refer to me as Amy. And I have been kind of writing this platform in my head since the very first interview in October with the search team. So many ideas have swirled around my head, and I've listened to many of the previous platform addresses from both Kate and James, and been deeply impressed with their oratory styles, as well as the deep and thoughtful content they presented. I will admit to having had a moment or two of feeling like, how can I compare to this? But then I remind myself that comparing myself to anyone is not the goal. The goal is to be myself and offer what I have to your community. And you will then, thank you. And fair warning, I might cry. I'm a crier, so I might just work with it. I cried the last time I spoke here, I might as well. Anyway, you will then, but you'll decide, after working with me for a while, you'll decide whether you want more of what I brought, more of what either of your past two leaders brought, or something new entirely. I'm temporary. I'm merely here to guide, consult, and hopefully inspire. And in 2 years' time, you will have another settled leader who we hope will accurately reflect the desires of the community and who will hopefully stay for a long time. I expect that many of you are here simply out of curiosity to see who they hired to fill the large and important shoes left empty by James when he departed last month. The past few years have been a time of much turmoil for you and for him, for all of us, of course, but you have had some unique challenges brought on by the pandemic and your collective commitment to keeping each other safe. You were disconnected from each other physically for a very long time, and I'm sure that has been hard on everyone. I listened to James's last platform as a podcast, and as always, was deeply impressed with his brilliant mind, charismatic speaking style, and his love for humanism. I did number my pages in case they happen to fall to the floor. So, wish me luck. As well as the values we espouse as a community makes me wonder why everyone isn't here. Humanism, at least in theory, is a beautiful way to understand the world and our place in it. It describes a genuinely inclusive space where all people can flourish and find beloved community. In all, his final platform was a lovely way to say goodbye to a community he so dearly loved. I hope many of you were here to send him off. I know there are all manner of mixed emotions surrounding his departure as well. To be honest, I do not envy that he took his position as senior leader just as COVID hit, and he then had to immediately go into crisis mode. I have the advantage of coming in as things are slowly returning to normal, some semblance of normal, so I'll be able to initiate some new ideas into fruition, whereas James could only respond to what was already happening. I can imagine that was frustrating to him and to the entire community, to say the least, to be such a profound visionary restricted to connecting through screens and constantly managing crisis. I wish him peace and love and an utter lack of crisis in his new life in England. I expect he and Colton will be very happy there. And I hope your consideration of his leadership includes deep empathy for the challenge and gratitude for his efforts. For most of his tenure, James's job was very hard. Stepping into this role feels like a great challenge. You may wonder why I'm doing it. That is a perfectly valid question. I've been a self-employed therapist, relationship coach, mediator, consultant, and writer in the past decade, not all of those things concurrently. I have not been a humanist clergy person. As you know from the introduction you've heard or read or seen here and there, my background is in social work, not humanist studies. I have an MSW from the Brown School at WashU. You may be curious how a social work degree might translate into a competent interim ministry team director. In my estimation, in the absence of official humanist training, social work might be the next best thing. Social work embraces the whole person, recognizing the impact of systems on human beings and their ability to realize their potential. Social work recognizes the right of all people to self-determination, and above all else, it prioritizes unconditional positive regard for all, which is to say, affirming the dignity and worth of all people, regardless of whether they deserve it. In practice, that's a tall order, but as an aspiration, it's everything we should be striving for. I've done a lot of different jobs in my adulthood, but the clearest similarity is that I really like to initiate people into better ways of doing things, namely their communication and relationships. A decade of marriage and relationship work has given me a unique perspective on the systems human beings create and the dysfunctions that inevitably appear when everyone is trying to avoid pain in their own ways. A community is the ultimate expression of human relational systems. So when you put a bunch of people together, there will be tensions and stressors, but there is also a unique opportunity to create something greater than the sum of its parts, to elicit the best in one another such that we may elicit the best in ourselves and have a great positive impact on the world in the process. Realistically, you are a rich and robust community of smart and thoughtful people with strong opinions about how the world should be. That's probably why most of you are here, to collectively create positive change. As the mom of a 6-year-old child, I have a vested interest in the world at large being a better place. Many of you met my kid and my husband at Good Cheer. His name is Rodney Prather, so we have a different last name, which I feel is relevant. Sometimes people refer to us as the Miller family, which I love, but we are actually the Miller Prather family. And my child's name is Zoe, and her pronouns are she, her, and his are he, him. Mine are she or they, either is fine with me. I forgot to say that earlier. But we met a lot of you at Good Cheer, and we appreciated your warm welcome. During the potluck, Zoe said, "Mom, I'm a little overstimulated. A lot of people want to talk to us." And I explained to her that people are excited to get started on a new beginning and that I'm here to help them with that. And I told her I have a very important job, which she was unimpressed by, as she often is. She tells me to stop singing a lot in the car, and I'm like, "Do you know that people pay me to sing?" She doesn't care. She's disinterested. However, she was fine once she and the other 6-year-olds linked up and started hiding in the coats and jumping out at people. So sorry if she scared you. That was my kid. Speaking of Good Cheer, thank you again to those of you who offered feedback in our survey a couple weeks ago about how both the potluck part and the platform felt to you, and suggestions for what we could do differently next year. As someone who is entering the community space for the first time, I obviously didn't know what to expect and couldn't really assess the event since I don't know what it's been like in previous years. So while I was not involved in the planning, though, I do know the staff and volunteers worked incredibly hard to make it happen, despite numerous challenges and recent changes. Consistently, I also heard that members were very happy to be back together in person again. That's a good segue into this. I know the theme for the month is the future of money, but today I mostly want to talk about the future of the Ethical Society of St. Louis and the future of our work together. I'm certain the next two platform speakers will stick to the theme, but today it felt important to focus on introducing myself to you and giving you all an idea of what you can expect for these next 2 interim years, maybe a little more than 2 years, we don't know, between settled leaders. In fairness, those themes predated me and I had no influence over them. When the programming year starts this fall, things may look a little different depending on what the next few months uncover. But never fear, it's all experimentation and it's all in the service of your community. We will have to try some new things and see what works and doesn't work. Personally, I've never been able to intellectualize things. I have to try everything on and see how it goes and see how it happens. I like to mess around and find out, as they say. I paraphrased that one. I just can't know how I feel about it until I orchestrate it and I feel into it and I see how it is, how it feels, and then I can say, yes, this is for me, or no, thank you, I never want to do that again. That is to say, I love change. I find it thrilling. I have grown and changed and evolved innumerable times over the course of my 43 years. And yes, I'm 43. I'm sure some of you wondered. Don't be fooled by the freckles and tattoos. I am a proper grown-up. Or at least that's what they say. They give me a mortgage and stuff. I don't know. That said, I know not everybody enjoys it when things change. For many, change causes a sensation of being unmoored, ungrounded, and even afraid. Some of you may feel like there has been enough change in the past few years to last a lifetime, and you wish everything would just hold still. There can be a lot of grief in change, even when it's welcome and necessary. So as we try new things and make some changes together, I would ask that we agree to be open-minded and brave and assume the best intentions of one another, even when something changes that you didn't expect or when things don't appear to be working. Sometimes the best path forward is to experiment, eliminating the bad ideas first. I'm an expert at that. So hopefully we won't have too many bad ideas here. But more importantly, I want to remind you that you are the experts on your community, and you are the architects of the future you desire for your community. I'm not here to tell you what to do. Some of you may be worried about that. It can be jarring to have someone new in charge of things. However, as someone coming into the system with fresh eyes, I may be able to identify and name issues in the system that familiarity has made invisible to you. I will be looking at how things have been going, and because you are a large community with many strong-willed humans in it, in the midst of a global pandemic, I am quite certain not everything has been smooth. That is absolutely what I expect to find when I start digging in. But please do not receive my questions, suggestions, or assessments as criticism. The way my brain works is to scan for patterns and notice what isn't working. That can feel critical sometimes, but I assure you that it is more accurately an awareness and belief that things can always be better. I love helping to create healthier systems and assisting folks in creating and building a culture that accurately reflects the espoused values of the system. I think you should also know that I come in with a core belief that you all are doing your best. You have been collectively holding together a community through a crisis that caused many other communities to fall apart. So please take a moment to reflect on the incredible feat that has been. You are still standing. You're still here, eager and ready to keep moving forward, and that is something to be deeply proud of. So as we celebrate the successes and collect our learnings from the mistakes of the past, I'm here to assist you in clarifying a collective vision for the future. Part of my job these next 2 years is to gather information from you and use it to shape the story of what you collectively want, which probably means weighing a lot of competing desires and trying things out on either side of those desires, which means at any given time, you may expect to be getting or not getting what you individually want. I've been doing relationship work in all sorts of iterations for many years, and this is typical in any system, whether there are 2 people in a couple, 10 people on a team, or 300 people in a congregation. True compromise really just means that sometimes you get what you want and sometimes I get what I want, and over time it levels out to feel equitable to us both. A win-win often just means we can all live with the outcome. Ultimately, the work I am doing is merely laying the groundwork for finding the next leader who can execute the vision for you and with you. I will have a lot of ideas. I'm kind of an ideas guy, but mostly I want to hear yours. One way I will collect your ideas is by including a survey question or two each week in the email blast that you receive on Wednesdays. You have received 3 of these so far. So if you're not in the habit of reading the weekly emails, how many of you are in the habit of reading the weekly emails? Okay, that's pretty good. Okay. But if you want to have your voice heard consistently, start reading it each week and responding to the question. So we're going to play around with the order. This is off script. We're going to play around with the order a little bit of how the information is presented in that weekly email. But just somewhere in there, there will be a picture of my face and a little note from me, and then a link to some survey questions. And if you answer those questions, then I will hear from you and I will know what you want and what you think. But if you are a member and you're not receiving them, you should definitely check your spam folder. There's probably a lot of treasures in there. Please note we won't be accepting anonymous contributions to the data, as the veil of anonymity tends to result in negatively skewed feedback, but we will keep it confidential. I encourage you to speak freely with the intention of being helpful and constructive. I know you will, because you offered some incredibly kind, insightful, and helpful feedback when I asked about good cheer, and we really appreciate it. It will absolutely inform our collective understanding of how it went, and it will also inform how we brainstorm for next year. I loved how most of you were quite direct in describing both what you liked and did not, but still offered the feedback in a loving way that included suggestions for improvement. I'd like us to agree to do it that way. I want to hear from those of you who have been here a long time, as well as those who are relatively new. Everyone has something to offer because everyone is different and has a unique perspective. The long-time older members are the key, though. Some of you have been here long enough that you could write the modern history of this place. And I want to say, what a lucky community to have so many elders still so deeply invested and active in the community. The elders are the keeper of the wisdom of the past, and we can't move forward well if we don't understand what has come before. And likewise, we rely on the younger folks to show us the possibilities of how it could be. Multi-generational learning is crucial for healthy organizations. I want to learn from and about all of you. Everyone can and should contribute. People enter into intentional community because they're looking for connection, and they want to feel a certain way. One of my ultimate goals in life, as well as specifically in this job, is to help as many people feel how they want to feel and to help strengthen relationships, build or rebuild connections, and bring everyone together. The possibilities of how we achieve this here are endless, so your help is needed to narrow the focus. The questions I ask over the next weeks and months may seem random at times, but I assure you they will purposefully assist me in building a fuller understanding of what has been, as well as envision the future. I will also be holding meetings, both one-on-one and groups, engaging in multiple ways to gather as much information as I can. You are welcome to email me if you'd like to participate. I'd rather you not call. I know some people are phone people, but email, I'm very responsive to email. So if you're welcome to email me if you'd like to participate, although I don't have solid plans for how those exactly will happen yet. And just so you know, this all sounds really fun to me. One thing to know about me is I'm insatiably curious about people. So I also just like to ask a lot of questions. I despise small talk, and I'm not very good at it. I often joke that I have exactly 2 conversational speeds: complete silence and tell me everything. So if we're ever in what feels like an awkward small talk situation, please feel free to divulge something very personal. And I will most likely light up and lean in like, ooh, tell me more about that. Let's go sit down. I'm a very good secret keeper. But I want to know people deeply. Superficial connections really don't interest me very much. My experience with all of you suggests most of you are this way too. This lifelong curiosity and access to the deepest parts of so many people through my work as a therapist has resulted in a deep, rich, and generous understanding of what it means to be human. I understand people. I get why we're like this. What's fun about humans is that we're all wildly different and yet almost embarrassingly predictable. If you give me a scenario in which someone acted in a way that appears irrational, I can, off the top of my head, rattle off multiple possible factors that would completely account for the behavior. My observation is that most people fundamentally spend their lives trying to avoid pain. Pain can mean shame, guilt, fear, jealousy, loneliness, or any other negative state, and trying to find meaning, joy, pleasure, and connection. The ways in which they go about these efforts vary greatly based on their families of origin, culture, societal norms and expectations, and a variety of other factors. So when you see someone acting in a way that doesn't make sense to you, it can be helpful to ask yourself, what might this person be thinking or feeling that's making them act this way? I say this because I want to invite us all to be in the habit of giving each other grace. Radical grace means assuming neutral or positive intention in the absence of information. Like, if you don't know what's happening, just assume someone isn't trying to be a jerk. Move into curiosity. What is happening here? If we can operate from this space consistently, which I know this is one of your values and this is a thing that we are already trying to do, but if we can operate from this space consistently, we can create more peace in all of our communities. I try to hold myself to this standard as well. It doesn't always work. I try. I know this isn't the kind of platform talk that you guys are used to. In my defense, however, from our own Instagram account, which is awesome, and you guys should be following the Instagram account and the Facebook account, both have really, really good stuff that Louise is posting. I recently read, ethical societies are guided by the best human thinking in the areas of ethics, science, and well-being. You all have done a terrific job of covering a vast array of topics in the areas of ethics and science. This is a deeply thoughtful and intellectually rigorous community, and I love that. And we will absolutely continue to explore the best human thinking in all areas. I know many, if not most of you, come here for intellectual stimulation. And yet, one comment stuck out to me in the survey from last week when I asked, when people ask you about the ethical society, what do you say? One person succinctly wrote, it's interesting, but not at all inspirational. I don't know if that was an outlier. I don't know if that's a common theme, but it made me think about it. Like, what if we could be really intentional about doing both? Like, what if we could find inspiration and practical real life stuff and intellectual rigor all in one place, plus music? All kinds of music, hopefully. That sounds pretty great to me. Perhaps because I'm most interested in the latter aspect of human thinking, I'm interested in well-being. I'm most interested in how it feels to be a human. I'm interested in exploring ways to create safety and support for each other in real life. I'm interested in exploring better ways to take care of each other, practically speaking, day to day, but also how we take care of ourselves. Everybody's heard the saying, when mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. I think that's actually true for everyone. People who are unhappy and are not well-tended and nurtured do not tend to add, this is what's gonna make me cry, do not tend to add joy to the world around them. Just give me a second. Many of us have not been nurtured and well-tended, especially as of late. Sorry. The pandemic fractured many of our social networks and made our circles ever smaller. So as we relearn how to people, I want to do it very intentionally so that we can co-create a community where everybody belongs and everybody feels good. This community has a rich opportunity to be truly inclusive as we move into 2023. I know it's long been a goal of this society to increase diversity, but as leader in training, Louise Jett recently reminded me, and I'm paraphrasing, start with creating a truly inclusive space and diversity will follow. The way I'm conceptualizing inclusion is like aiming for a space, which I know is what we're already doing. I just want to put that at the top of the list of things we're thinking about. Aiming for a space that is welcoming and feels good to as many different kinds of people as possible. We can't please everyone, but we can commit to working on our own biases and blind spots, which we all have, and identifying the ways we might unintentionally exclude or accidentally turn someone off when they walk in. We can offer all different kinds of music and topics, and we can solicit feedback, and we can respond to it. We can do our best. I want you to know up front that I will make many mistakes. I hope you don't expect that I have a magic wand or that I will be perfect in any way. You will be disappointed if you expect me to be anything other than a human who will try their best to bring the community back together. So what does relearning how to people mean? Excuse me. It's been consistently brought to my attention that many people feel like their social dexterity has diminished. since COVID started and has drug on and on. It's come up a lot in my sessions this past year or so. People feeling bewildered by other humans, like, ugh, like, I've forgotten how to people. So if you're feeling that way, you're not alone. Many people feel that way. Many folks are feeling more self-conscious, less confident, and often afraid that others can see how lonely and disconnected they have been. These past few years have been really hard on anyone who's been remotely diligent about staying safe and keeping others around them safe. We've avoided large gatherings or indoor meetings, not gone to things we might have wanted to attend, and traveled less, if at all. Those of us who are naturally introverted, which my understanding is there's a lot of us here, me too, or homebodies, started staying in more and doing less, and it didn't necessarily feel bad. But even that's not without its own set of consequences. Like, no, I didn't really mind being home a lot more, but I do miss running into folks that I like. I'm very excited to be part of a team here, by the way. I'm very excited to interact with Nancy and Laura and Zoanne and see actual people every day. I've been alone in an office for a long time. I'm like a feral creature. like who wants to talk? I lost my place though. Okay. But I do miss feeling the energy of other people around me during a delicious dinner with a dear friend and some red wine. I've started doing that again, but for a very long time, I wasn't doing that at all. I had breakfast with 2 friends the other day, and we laughed and ate and caught up, and it felt like a revelation rather than the commonplace delight it once was. And also, many of us have lost track of whatever communities we may have been part of, however peripherally. Places we once would go regularly either closed or changed or went virtual only. My yoga studio closed, as well as my favorite coffee shop. And those were spots where I could go and feel welcome and familiar. And even if I didn't talk much to anyone, which I didn't a lot, my yoga studio, my spot was in the back corner, and everybody knew that's my spot. There's not even room for someone else next to me. And I'd be like, I want to be around you, but I don't want anyone here. I blame it on having a small child, but I think it's actually just how I am. But that's what I hope people feel when they come here. I want people to feel welcome and familiar, even if they're new. I want to leave you with a little homework assignment that you can take or leave. Reach out to someone you've lost touch with. Make a plan to meet up for coffee and catch up with a friend, whether someone from the Ethical Society or someone outside of here. Schedule a Zoom session, a catch-up session with someone far away. Shoot a text to someone, even though I know we're all very tired of Zoom, so you don't have to do that one if you don't want to. Go visit them instead. Wear a mask on your airplane, though. Shoot a text to someone you haven't talked to in a while and make sure they're okay. All the tragedies in the world around us only highlight again and again the importance of being in active relationship with other humans. Those connections are the only thing that really matters at the end of the day. At the risk of going too dark here, or crying, I feel gravely reminded all too regularly that in the blink of an eye, everything can change. The world continues to be a scary place, in many ways, seen and unseen. And yet, here we are. And we need each other. And we need to relearn how to people, how to be part of the world, how to take care of each other, how to be in relationship with each other. And I hope to help you do that this year, and I hope you will help me do that this year. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here, Amy. The ushers will now take up a collection to support the society. If you're moved to make a donation